by this point, you've already multiplied integers, and now we're going to divide integers. So there's a couple rules we need to be aware of. If you remember, when you add when you add or subtract integers, um, you look at the signs if it's positive or negative to determine what to do. Same thing with dividing and, well, as you learned already, multiplying integers. When you divide integers, let's say you have a positive number divided by another positive number. Your answer is going to also be a positive number. Now, if you have a positive number divided by a negative number, your answer is going to be negative. And if you have a negative number divided by a positive number, your answer is also going to be negative. And then a negative number divided by a negative number will give you a positive. Okay, so a rule to remember this by is if you have same signs, meaning you have the same sign on the top as you do on the bottom. If you have the same signs, your answer or the quotient is going to be positive. Okay, so if you look here, and I'll highlight these in a different color. If you have the same signs, so you have a positive on the top and positive on the bottom, then your quotient is also positive. And the last one here, if you have a negative and a negative, your answer is going to be positive. So same signs is positive. Now, if you have different signs, if you have different signs, so if you have one sign on top and the opposite on the bottom, so let me get a different color here. If you have a positive on top and a negative on bottom, then you're going to have a negative. So different signs, what's going to go in the circle there? It's going to be a negative. So if you have a negative on top and a positive on bottom, then your answer or your quotient is going to be negative. So different signs will give you a negative. And then there's one exception to this, to either of these, and that's if you have zero, if zero is involved. So if zero is in the numerator, then it doesn't matter what you have on the bottom. Let's just call it A. If zero is in the numerator, then your answer is going to be zero. And what would happen if zero was in the denominator? Can you do that? If you have any number on top, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. But if you have zero on the bottom, you can't divide that. That's going to be undefined. Undefined. Okay, so the only exception is going to be zero. Otherwise, if it's the same signs, so if it's positive and positive or negative and negative, your answer is going to be positive. If it's different signs, so if you have a positive on top and a negative on the bottom, it would be negative. And then a negative on top and a positive on bottom, it's going to be negative. Okay, so that's same signs and different signs. So let's do an example here. Let's say you have, and I'm just going to do an example. Let's say you have a negative 44 divided by 11. Okay, so if you were to write that out, a negative 44 divided by 11. So negative 44 divided by 11. So here, and that 11 is positive. You don't see a plus sign there, but you could write one in. So here we have different signs. So you have a negative on top and a positive on bottom. So our answer, the different signs, is going to be negative. If you remember from above here, from above, different signs is negative. Okay. And then 11 goes into 44 4 times. So your answer is going to be negative 4. Okay, so different signs tells you to put a negative there, and then 44 divided by 11 is 4. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do negative 24 divided by 8. Okay, negative 24 divided by 8. Well, the 8's positive. You can write a positive there if you want. These are also different signs. So you're going to have a negative. And then 24 divided by 8 is going to give you 3. So it's going to be a negative 3. Okay. Now, you could have done the same thing with let's say, 6 divided by a negative 2. So you have a positive on the top this time and a negative on the bottom. That's still going to give you a negative for your answer because you have different signs. So a 6 divided by negative 2 is going to give you a negative 3. And then if you have the same signs, so negative 2 over a negative 4, well, there you're just going to simplify. You can divide the top by a 2 and the bottom by a 2. And you'll get a negative 1 over a negative 2. And since you have a negative on top and bottom, they're same signs, your answer is going to be positive. So the answer would just be 1/2. The negative signs cancel each other out. Okay, let's do one more of those. Let's do negative 6 divided by negative 3. Okay, same signs. So your answer is going to be positive, and 6 divided by 3 will give you a 2. So it's a positive 2, or you can just write it as 2. Okay, now, what if you wanted to compare expressions using a greater than or less than? And we're going to do a similar problem, but we're going to compare now. So if you have 0 divided by 4 plus 9 is what compared with 0? So we're gonna put in, actually, is what compared with 0 divided by 7 plus 9. Okay, what are we going to put in here? Well, let's write this out. And remember, order of operations. You do multiplication and division first before you do addition. So we're going to look at the division first. So 0 divided by 4. 0 divided by 4. And then we're going to add 9. So 0 divided by 4 is just 0. And then you add 9 to that, and you get 9. Okay, that's this first part here. Now let's take a look at the second part. You have 0 divided by 7 plus 9. Well, 0 divided by 7 is just 0, plus 9 is going to give you 9. And that's this whole part. So let's look at our answer. We have 9 and we have 9. So your answer is going to be equals, because 9 is equal to 9. These are equivalent expressions, so it'll be equal. So the symbol up here will be equals. Okay, now if it turned out to be something else, you would either put a less than or a greater than, but in this case it was equals. Okay, that should make sense to you now.